the next, let's say, 3 decades in India when it comes to defense innovation and defense development?
So thank you, Aditya. Aegis sir has actually shed a lot of light, saying, giving you a background of how it was and how we are today and where we could possibly be. So taking on that, and as he said that innovation is a continuum. So innovation is a continuum. Definitely, it's a continuum.
Yes.
So we've seen in the last century, I mean, the last war that we fought in 1999, the Kargil War, we did not see anything happening in terms of artificial intelligence, cyber warfare. We did not have even the fourth dimension of space. I mean, we know very well that we needed to get the coordinates, geo coordinates. We couldn't get those geo coordinates, for want of a better word. I'm just saying geo coordinates because we can't get too technical over here. So that led to India deciding that we need to develop this technology ourselves, right? So this is the kind of, I would say, imperative that was there to develop technologies. So what we did just about 20 years back is not relevant today. So what we could be possibly doing 20 years from now, we can only predict. We cannot say, how things would turn out. But definitely, this led to the need for developing these technologies in-house, so we are not dependent upon anybody else to get any help that we need. So whether we are talking in terms of the navigation systems, or we're talking in terms of the surveillance systems, or we're talking in terms of the communication systems, all in the space, I would say, the fourth dimension, everything has moved very, very fast in the last few years, and not without the help of, I would say, innovation that was driven by ISRO, but also with partnership in the private and the public sector, both the private and the public sector. I'm very happy to say that the innovations which are coming are primarily coming from the young lot, which has an ISRO background, more often than not an ISRO background, and they have moved out of ISRO for challenging the, let's say, the old guard, but they have a mindset which is ISRO trained. So whether it is in terms of, let's say, even using a mobile phone as a satellite phone, that technology exists with us, for example, today. Whether it is in terms of micro satellites and small satellites, which can become a constellation and therefore provide you with real-time intelligence, or it is in terms of large satellites, which is the IRNSS, which has been developed in partnership with the private sector. But what I'm trying to say here is this, that most innovation and the IP still rests with ISRO. They are only taking help from the private sector and the public sector to, let's say, manufacture faster. Or that's what I could say. The design development still is with ISRO, which is good, because that is what a space agency should be doing. They should be doing design, development, innovation, and obviously with the help of the private sector. Having said this, what we need to understand is this, that we are still far behind in rocketry. I mean, we have the PSLV, we have the GSLV, but we really need to have rockets which could take smaller satellites. If I don't have, let's say, 1,500 kilograms to be put in space, I have only 500 kilograms. I should have a rocket for that. And I should be able to assemble it quickly, and it should be cheaper. And it should be able to be launched at will, right? It should be a bespoke thing. So that's something we still need to work on. And in that, the private sector is doing a lot of work. And as we move forward, there's a trend towards moving green as well. So green fuels, and obviously to stay in space, you need solar energy, right? So because that's the way the batteries would be charged for satellites, and you basically have a 10-year or a 15-year life for a satellite. How can we increase that life of a satellite, right? Because there's only finite space in the space, so-called, right? Where you can dump all these satellites. So one day, you have to ensure that there's some place to park them as well, right? So you cannot just keep on sending satellites after satellites after satellites. So we need to understand how are we going to increase the life of satellite, or how we could even move those satellites from one orbit to another orbit. So these are, I think, technologies which should be developed in the next few years to come.
Okay, so what I understand, Mr. Srivastav, is that I think you would also argue that it's time that India takes on a position which is very similar to what the US has done when it comes to space exploration. I mean, they have the NASA, and they also have they have Musk and they have Bezos of the world trying to do something. And I'm sure that civilian application also comes in handy with defense applications, in the US. I think something similar of that sort could be done in India as well. You know.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to say. So this in the rocketry, for example, there is a lot of work being done in the private sector and in the startups, primarily in the startups. So we have, I mean, there's no point taking names over here.
Right.
If you take one, the other guy will say, "Why not me? I've also been doing this." But then I can tell you this, that in rocketry, yes, we are having a lot of innovation in terms of smaller rockets, more efficient rockets, and cheaper rockets. And all this is being done in the I would say startup segment, and in the segment which is funded by PEs and VCs. But a lot of mentoring is still being done by titans from ISRO. But obviously, the driver's seat is with the younger lot, and which is very good.
That's good. Mr. Verma, I come to you. You are from KPMG.